Okay, how's it going, guys? Azam here, bigreha.com. And today we're talking about 14 ways to avoid bad tenants from hell and to turn the bad tenants that you do get into good tenants. And plus how I built a 10K side business by doing joint ventures with realtors, investors, and apartment complexes. So I'm kind of familiar with this, but this is something that Anna wrote, Indy Anna, and this is we're going to go through this because she's done some really cool stuff. Our team has, if you have tenants, if you're doing lease options, if you're buying houses, if you're flipping them, if you're doing anything in real estate, really, this isn't just about tenants, but lease option tenants, buyer tenants, and also buyers in general. How to qualify them like a badass, and how to make sure that you turn that process of qualifying your people into a moneymaker itself. And when you do that, you can build all kinds of side businesses. Remember, you don't want to have a radial business. Most people, most investors, they have 100 different things that have to happen before they make a penny. You don't want that to be the case. You want to be able to make money with each activity, and the better you get, the easier that'll be. So you can download all this stuff. Go to the link at the bottom at bigreha.com, and you can download. There's a shitload of stuff on this page. This is an epic post. Look at this. I'm going to go through all this with you right now live. This is long as hell. So this is a lot of stuff here. This is really we've had a few people, I tested this out for feedback, and people are like, this is more profitable, more useful than courses that I've paid thousands of dollars for. So go to this website, go to bigreha.com, go to this page right here. You can get all this stuff for free. First, you can download the PDF right here, and it is of this infographic here. So 14 ways to avoid bad tenants from hell and how to turn bad tenants into great tenants. So what do I need to do to have perfect tenants? There aren't enough great and perfectly beautiful tenants out there in the real world for your business to rely on. You finding them, so you need to be able to create them too. That's important. That's not just with tenants, that's with everybody. People are always looking for great people to hire. There's not that many extraordinary people or people being the extraordinary versions of themselves out there. So you need to have a process where your business creates great people, creates extraordinary people. You're able to take people who are performing ordinary or ordinarily and have them perform extraordinarily. Extraordinarily. I'm pronouncing that a little different. You need a plan to screen out the bad ones and turn the current bad ones into great tenants. Follow this 14-step checklist and you'll be on your way. We've been doing this with thousands of tenants and buyers over the years, and so this is I'm really excited about this because I don't know I have an idea of the material here, but I'm going to be going through this too with you as well. Okay, so there's basically two categories. There's prevention steps, what to do before you sign a tenant, and then policing steps, what to do after you have a tenant. So 7 prevention steps to creating great tenants. Here's what to do before. Number 1, screen your tenant's background. Do the obvious background checks as we describe on this page, but also apply to the 3 to 5 rule from our insurance business as well. We'll talk more about that below. Number 2, recommendation letters and references. Your properties are like your businesses and your tenants are like employees, so treat the application as a job interview and call references with the policies we outline. Have a 24/7 number to contact. Never leave anything to chance. Make sure that any and all calls are documented, and any potential lead or clients get in touch with you day or night, and that you know what happens. Carry insurance even if the property is free and clear. Get policies. This is something important we're going to talk about. I think we're going to talk about later. Pets is important, especially you want to know what kind of breed, and insurance companies are like weasels. They're always looking to get out of stuff. So is a certain breed labeled as dangerous or vicious or a predator breed or whatever? So that's important. 5, hold maximum security deposits that you can. 6, record the pre-signed walkthrough with a video. Use money as a qualifier, as a down payment. 7, policing steps after you have, this is what to do after you sign a tenant. This is really important. People ignore this. You can solve almost every problem. You talk to any landlord, and most people that get in real estate lose money. And this is a big problem because people think they're just going to have, tenants come in and just pay their bills and, just sit back and you don't have to do anything. Just cross your fingers behind your head, right? Kick your feet up on your desk. That's not what's going to happen. And most property management companies suck. And so you've got to train them on this stuff too. So get good with this, get familiar with this, and make sure that your team is performing with your policies. So keep eyes on the property, build solid relationships. Number 3, get them credit and finance help. Number 4, get involved in the community. This is important. 5, give good guy rewards. We do a lot of this stuff. People love getting rewards. And it's amazing how much people will bend over backwards to please you if you make your approval worthy of something, Okay, number 6, set up ACH and credit card options. Nobody does this. It's crazy. It's the simplest thing to do. I think we're going to talk about this later. Setting up through a company like plastic.com, PLASTIQ, they let you pay your credit card, or they let you pay your rent with a credit card. Every one of you, if you have tenants or buyer tenants, every one of you should be signing people up for this. First of all, you can make money helping people sign up for services like that and for credit, monitoring services. But also, it helps them build their credit up because they have a credit. Let's say you get, you can get a lot of free stuff too with credit cards. It's called travel hacking, getting a bunch of free like miles and stuff by spending $5,000 in 90 days. But who's going to spend $5,000 in 90 days? Well, you probably are on rent. You're going to spend $5,000 in 6 months or whatever, on your rent, and you can hit those numbers, get free bonuses, discount stuff. But also, you can build your credit up as well. Cause, a lot of times we've had tenants who start this process and maybe they have bad credit and they get like a $500 secured credit card. By the end of that lease term or that lease option term within a year or 2 years, they've got $10,000 lines of credit on multiple credit cards. People should be doing this and landlords aren't doing this. That's why this is stuff you can do for yourself, but you can also get paid doing it for other landlords as well. So this is pretty cool. When we get to this part, you want to pay attention. 7, referrals. Get your fan base, screens fan base. Everything you do is to build your fan base. This is the most important asset you'll ever have in your business. It's your fan base. All right. 1 July, a dance plague broke out in France. Hundreds of people couldn't stop dancing 24/7. Eventually, exhaustion and heart attacks occurred, and soon 15 people a day were dancing themselves to death. Nobody expected what happened next. I told that story to my realtor and his friends, and now they pay me over $7,100 a month. Find out how, bigria.com. All right. This is pretty good. I actually wrote something about this, I think, a while ago. But this right here, man, this is copy right here. This is the kind of shit you want to start saying. Start talking like this in your emails and in your, Anna's just getting started with this, and she's done some really great stuff. She sends me emails. I'm like, wow, that's such a good hook. Such a great email. Okay, again, you can download this whole thing right here. It's all free. Go get this, man. It's good stuff. 14 ways to avoid bad tenants from hell. Turn the bad tenants into good tenants. You want to avoid bad tenants? Here's a horror story I witnessed. I was young and looking at my first house. My budget, this is all from her. My budget was tight. I knew I had to invest home ownership. I was eager to find a place. There's no way I could afford it in this neighborhood. I walked up the stone. I was surprised. Okay, so she was pregnant, and you can read this. Oh, okay, I do remember this. So this place was stripped. They had taken everything, and the realtor called it a clusterfuck, and this was like, a whole bunch of stuff, really bad stuff, and they had no idea it was this bad. This is stuff that happens a lot where tenants leave a property and they destroy the property. And what happens is, people end up losing a lot of value, and, it's not that these people, a lot of people get into real estate and they don't realize how much it's going to cost. One bad tenant can cost you everything. They can ruin not just that property, but they can ruin your entire financial portfolio having one bad tenant. I mean, that's the cost of just one bad tenant. It's a pretty big deal. And if you don't know, go to eviction court. Just do yourself a favor. Everyone that wants to be a landlord or get into real estate, go to eviction court. Go find out where your judges, however your process is handled locally. We have a class on that. Go there and just talk to these investors right afterwards. It's one of the places I used to go to find deals. Test. Okay, we're back on. I had to adjust this. It's one of the places we used to go to find deals. Go to the court and just hand out, just get there and talk to them right after they had to file their 14th eviction. They're pissed off, and the tenants know the law better than a lot of these landlords do, and they're really upset about it, and they hate it, and they hate their life, and they hate the investment property, and they're ready to sell. And what could have avoided all that is them going through these steps. Not even all these steps, just a few. Okay, so 14 ways to avoid bad tenants from hell and how to turn bad tenants into great tenants. These are broken into 2 categories: prevention, what to do before, and then policing, what to do after. So prevention steps, what to do before. Prevention number 1, screen your tenants with a background report. How you nailed that job interview. So anyway, that's why the background check says I'm a quote sex offender. But remember, I was never actually convicted. Of anything. No collusion. All right. So this is we've got several different of these like comics and things like that. We have a lot of the kids work on. We work with a lot of special needs kids. Anna is actually a teacher. That's how I met her. And so. This has been a really cool writing exercise, having kids come up with these and write these, and we've really enjoyed. It's been pretty cool. So if you ever get a chance, you want to like these, share them. Whenever you see a comic or anything like that, it's usually from one of the kids. This one doesn't say who it's from, but I think at the end it'll go over who the group that came up with this. Prevention, step 1, screen your tenants with background report. There are several tenant screening services like TransUnion, SmartMove, Equifax, Experian. There are many others that basically do the same thing. We have a class on screening tenants here you can watch. It isn't as important as what service you use as the information you get and how you apply it. We have another class on running credit checks on tenants here. We have a class on security deposits here. Here's a video we did on the eviction process. That's the one where we talked about how to check with your state and find out. I think they talk about how to find out where your landlords go locally and where to find like the most wholesaling. You can find out in your county and the nearest area around you where the most wholesaling is happening. You can also find out where the most landlords are. And then you can find out what judges there are in those counties and you can get an idea of where to go and what are the heavy days. And you can go talk to these investors. And you might think, well, they've got attorneys doing it. Then you could talk to the attorneys too. But usually what happens is once an investor realizes how quick and easy that process is, they don't pay $300 to $500 to the attorney. Or if they do, they have a good deal with that attorney and that attorney knows what they're doing. And you can get in touch with the attorney and eventually with the investor as well. So I've gone over this. We've gone over this before. So those are some classes. So what to look for? You look for the obvious red flags: criminal arrests, warrants, convictions. The less criminal things, better. This is basic stuff. You want to get pay stubs, 1099 forms, bank statements. Beyond the basics. Aside from that. Okay, so we have the 3 to 5 rule. This is with our insurance businesses. We have a few of those. Over the years we've bought and sold several on our team here. But there's this is a really obviously, when you talk to an insurance agent or anybody that's in charge of human behavior, there's going to be like stereotyping and even like, to be honest, racist stuff that, people say. But what they're doing is they're just looking at averages and numbers. Okay. So, that's just keep that stuff in mind. All right. So, it might seem sexist or whatever, but, just keep these are just numbers that they're looking at, right? These are like bean counters, accountants. And this is something to look for in general. The better you get at these numbers and looking at these data points, these statistics and kind of these patterns of human behavior, the better decisions you can make, just off the top of your head. So basically the 3 to 5 rule means that if somebody has 3 to 5 kids, they've been married for 3 to 5 years and they went to university for 3 to 5 years, and they've been at their job for 3 to 5 years, has lived in their previous residence for 3 to 5 years. You want this 3 to 5 years thing coming up. What that usually means, if you have these things, if someone has 3 to 5 kids, they've been married 3 to 5 years, they went to school for 3 to 5 years, and they've been at their job for 3 to 5 years. And you can just look at these, just 3 of these. You don't need all of these. If they've had their job for 3 to 5 years, or they've had their previous residence for 3 to 5 years, if they've lived in one place. But especially if they have 3 to 5 kids and they're not divorced and they have one parent and they've stayed together. It doesn't mean that, obviously, like I said, I'm not saying, we're not saying that if they don't, that they're total shitballs and they're immoral, heathens that, are basically drinking and whoring all night. Not saying anything like that, but people who are like boring is what you're looking for. Boring people who have 3 to 5 kids. They're in bed and asleep every night by 8, or 8 or 9. You know what I mean? And the kids are, honor roll students. I mean, there's other things that you can tell about them, right? This is what you're looking for with your tenants. As many of these 3 to 5 things as possible. Although that's kind of illegal, right? Because you can't judge somebody by marriage status or like if there's a mother and father. That's what I'm saying, like, because we've gotten in trouble with this. I'm only being honest, all right? Because we've gotten, like, when we're saying that you have to have a mother and father, and there's, like, all kinds of, like, connotations there. And all we're saying is just more data around these points, and that's it. These people are generally safer. Have I done enough CYA here? Okay, what this usually means is these people are about 80 to 90% less likely to cause problems as tenants. If you have 3 of these things, 3 of these boxes checked. There are a number of other things that they're not likely to do as well. They're not going to, they're not going to, they're not going to turn the place into a meth lab. They're not going to get arrested. They're not going to have their dog, eat and kill another neighbor's dog, which those are all things that we've gone through. Most tenants, most, landlords have. And this is how, when you go through these a couple times, this is when you're going to start realizing the value of these things. You're going to ask yourself, how many boxes does the person I'm talking to check? So it's not legal to discriminate people against how long they've been married or if they have kids and stuff like that. Just use these things as a guide. These are all indicators, right? It's like clouds can indicate rain. That's the same thing. So look at those indicators. Look at those markers. Here's an example of a real life example that we used with people that sometimes you look at somebody who doesn't have good credit or somebody who doesn't have the best income. But if these indicators are met, these 3 to 5, it's generally you're not going to have problems with them. And the other thing is that what you're looking for are boring people, but also people who value a handshake, right? So when you look them in the eye, you shake their hand, they're going to do what they said they would do. And most people are good people. You're not going to have problems. And when you understand what to look for, what those people have in common, they'll do more just to keep their word with you than they ever will because of what they sign. This is like good people. Very if it comes down to, what does the contract say? What do I have to fulfill but to meet the terms of the contract? The relationship has already gone south, right? You want people who have things to lose. And if nothing else, and they'll lose sleep if they don't keep their word. And these are markers. These are the things that are markers for that. So find people who need to take care of their credit. There's a lot of people who have government jobs, government clearances. For example, when I worked in the intelligence community, my credit had to be like perfect, and just about everyone's did. And if I went into debt, I worked with a guy who had to get, it took like 4 months for him to get clearance to get his house refinanced, because you're not allowed to have certain amounts of debt either, because you could be compromised, So, and it's not just high-end government stuff like, with like the intelligence agency or like overseas stuff like I was involved with. I was surprised how many people on a local level, if you work just in, entry level in the CIA or the FBI, the kinds of criteria that you have to meet as far as your debt to income ratios and your number of credit cards and your credit score. So keep in mind, you want people who have something to lose if their credit goes bad. Many people with corporate jobs or government jobs have to require a certain credit score. They can't have, personal liens. They can't have judgments. They can't be taken to court for certain things. They can't have these things on their record. It will hinder their ability to rise in their careers. And that's another thing you're looking for, people with careers, people that are already involved in their careers, in the middle or towards the end, maybe at the beginning, but something with a career. And the more they went to school or the more they put into the career, the better it is. All right, so this gives you leverage if they have to worry about their credit. So you ask yourself, just how would that tenant react? You could tell by looking at someone sometimes. Again, I'm being like, stereotypical. You don't want to be judging people by how they look. But you look at someone, you shake their hand, you talk to them, you get an idea of how would this person react to something bad on their credit, right? You want someone who's going to freak out. And that's good. Okay, number 2, prevention step number 2, get recommendation letters and references. We spent a lot of time on this one, but this is so much more than just, pulling up their credit, right? Talk to them, get to know them, and use these markers. All right, so prevention step number 2, get recommendation letters and references. And your endorsements say a lot about you. I need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath on a quiet street and at least 500 yards away from a school, right? To whom it may concern, this guy is totally cool and I can vouch for him. Jared from Subway, right? Somebody shows up with a letter from Jared from Subway. Not the best thing, right? So get recommendation letters. Here's an example of one that we spent $50. She spent $50 to process somebody. It was a good. This was the gay. He was overseas and he didn't have references, but then they spent a little bit of money, got a translator, and it turned out it was a good thing. So get reference letters, call the people, find out, this should be like a job interview for them. You want to get reference letters and call these people, find out what they're like. And the reference letters should be from their previous tenant. You also get an idea of how many previous tenants they had. If you ask someone for reference letters, just the people they use gives you a good idea. If they have to go to their friends instead of their coworkers or their previous landlord or whoever, their banker or whatever, wherever they were living before, that tells you something. Okay, prevention step 3, have a 24/7 number to contact. Thank you for calling. If you aren't completely satisfied with our service today, just a reminder that a little disappointment is good for building character. That's not nice. Okay, so have a number to contact. Have someone available. This is something we've done for a while. Always have a number 24/7 that people can call. If nothing else, they can leave a voicemail and get back to everybody within 24 hours. You want to have a number for people to call. And you may think, was this really prevention? Well, I put this here. Because, I guess we put this here. I'll take credit for that. Because it's part of the marketing too. You always want to put 24 hours in your ads and make sure people know that they can call anytime they want. And also, you don't want people, going out and saying, I couldn't get a hold of somebody if they're already your tenant, so I called my friend of mine to do the work. No. You call me, and if you can't reach me in 2 hours or if it's an emergency, call one of the providers on this list. Give that list to them. Because otherwise, you're going to have someone, calling you up saying, I had to pay $300 to fix a garage door, so I'm going to take that off the rent this month. No. We have a specific policy in place, and we have that ahead of time. You call this voicemail no matter what. If it's an absolute emergency, then you can call someone from this list. Make it real simple. Include in the lease agreement, laminate the number, fridge style magnets. Give people, get these. Here's a few places you can get fridge magnets done. Start giving away fridge magnets, by the way, with everything you do, with all your marketing, everything. Fridge magnets are amazing. First of all, magnets in general are totally bonkers. Nobody knows how they work. They're totally crazy. It's like a freaky thing. And no human being in history has ever thrown away a magnet. Really. If you doubt that, get up right now, go to your fridge, take off a magnet, hold it over the trash, and try to let go. You won't be able to do it. It never happens. You won't be able to throw away a magnet. So get your marketing stuff, your number, your I buy home stuff, and get all that. Jenny buys houses cash. I'll make a guaranteed offer in your home, right? Get that stuff on these magnets, and whenever you talk to somebody, give them away. Nobody throws magnets away. It's like a little billboard. It lasts for years. You want to make sure that this info is easily accessible. Give them one number so your tenants have no excuse. It's one phone number. You don't want to ever hear, well, that was with the garage door, but what about the backyard? Or what about the shed? Oh, that's a different number. I thought that'd be a different person. If nothing else, you can set up a free Google Voice number, and it'll send you an email whenever you get a voicemail. Prevention step 4, carry and require insurance even if your property's paid off. Get the insurance the tenant deserves and needs. What is it called when Batman's insurance company pays him on a claim? Wait, how would he even file oh, no, please, Dark Knight Returns. All right. That's a good, see, I'm contagious, all right, because if Randall was here. All right, where is he? Is he in the back? He'd be freaking out. So I got Van here. He doesn't freak out as much as Randall. Randall actually throws stuff at me. Can you believe that? He actually threw stuff at me when I used to do this. Prevention step 4, carry and require insurance even if the property is paid off. So carry homeowners insurance, landlord insurance, require your tenant get renter's insurance as well. Require every tenant to, yes, no matter what. You should always get a policy even if your property is paid off. People get lazy and cheap about this. But man, even if it's not required by your lender or anybody else involved, you want to get this done. If you can't cut a check, even if you can't cut a check, why would you want to? So get lender's insurance. Hold your state's maximum security deposit. Before I start my next relationship, I'm going to require a $2,500 security deposit, right? We should all do that, right? Prevention step 5, hold your state's maximum security deposit. It's a good qualifier. It's just, money in general is a qualifier. We get money for down payments. The more money a lease option tenant buyer puts down, the more committed they are to the property, the better of a tenant they are, the less problems you have later on. And also, just the more likely, the better relationship they have with the seller, the more likely it is that they're going to buy the property, the deeper roots that they set in the community and the neighborhood. It's just a better situation for everybody. Prevention step 6, the pre-signing walkthrough inspection. Not all inspections are the same. The good news is that I thoroughly inspected your colon and it looks good. And the bad news, I'm not a doctor. Oh my God. All right. His mouth here. I like this. This was my favorite so far. There's another one. There's a saying we had. It said, never trust a proctologist who has both hands on your shoulders or something like that. Prevention step 6, the pre-signing walkthrough inspection. Do a pre-signing lease with your tenants and take pictures and video before, along with a checklist to document everything you walk through with your tenant, right? It's a video and pictures. If nothing else, and you have your property management company do this, everyone should be doing this, because if nothing else, you want people to think and to realize, set the expectation clearly that you are that person. You're that nerdy birdie with it. You're that anal with it. You know what I mean? So if somebody has an issue, well, why don't we go back to that video? Why don't we go back to the pictures? Because this is what we're going to use in the future. And you can email or text it to them right afterwards and say that this is what we use for accountability, and this is what we go through, the checklist that we have. You can download the free, the pre-signing walkthrough checklist right here. Just go to the site. You can download it for free. We put these in Word and in PDF so that you can edit them if you want. And the instructions are in the doc, and it tells you exactly how you take the videos and pictures, and then you leave that with the tenant. Sometimes it's required, depending on your lender or the state or the country, if you're outside of America, to leave it with the tenant and give them, a day or 3 days or 7 days or 10 days to return that to you. That's okay. But let's say you go through and they say, okay, there's no problem with the fireplace. Then all of a sudden they tell you there is a problem with the fireplace. The first thing you want to do is go in video and take pictures of that. You want your property management company all over that. And compare that to the video and image that was taken when they first walked through it, right? This nips so many problems in the bud right then and there, because what you want is if your tenants are sitting around, or you have your buyer tenants sitting around and it's Christmas or it's, the holidays, or maybe they just had a drunk party and there's a bunch of drunk people around, and somebody bangs into something, it's like, oh, well, we'll hide it from the landlord. You want them to be like, oh, no, there's nothing hiding from this guy. This guy's, he's really nice and he's fair, but he's gonna, I better call him up and tell. Like, that's the attitude that you want to have, or ideally that you have people that are of a higher quality. Or higher morals, right? That they're like, oh, no, I can't do it to that guy. I respect him too much. We have a great relationship. And then they come forward with it. What you don't want is what most investors have, the relationship with their tenants, where it's like cats and dogs, where they're purposely going to hide it. They're not going to call you. And then what do you know? You get a surprise when the lease is up that there's, this, 5-inch hole that's, been, leaking the AC and the heater, and it's going to cost you $10,000 now to fix. You can avoid that. Okay. Prevention step 7, use money as a qualifier. More money, less problems. Why do tenants call money dough? Doesn't everybody? Oh no, not again. They need it to move in. Okay. All right. This guy always takes off at the end here. Except in the other one. What did he do? Oh, right. Because I'm not. I like this. I like these. Prevention step 7, use money as a qualifier. Probably the number one question sellers, homeowners, investors have about doing lease options is, what happens if my tenant damages my property, right? This is a question, and so many investors avoid this. They'll be like, oh, well, that's not going to help, blah, blah, blah. They just start talking fast. Don't do that. Whenever somebody expresses an objection, this is in general, whether you're writing copy or whether you are talking to them in person, you want to take a stronger, more negative and pessimistic stance than they take. So if somebody says, what if my tenants damage my property? Don't say, oh, well, they won't do that much damage. No, go the opposite. So you're saying, like, what if they completely destroy the property? What would happen? And now they know that you're speaking their language, right? So let's say your tenants come in and they don't just damage the property, but they completely destroy it where it's unusable. Right, and then go from there, right? And that's why you want to explain that the more they pay up front, the less you worry. But also, that's one qualifier we use. But the other one, then we talk about, this is not to address that objection, but this is, I'm just saying in general, that's how you want to go with that objection. Don't avoid it. Explain the whole situation. And the more you've done that beforehand or ahead of time, or with your compliance curve, the less this will come up. I guess this is a question for you. So you as the investor, what happens? The more you charge up front, the better. A story of a boy. We use this story a lot. So, Dad, what's the difference? A boy asked his father, Dad, what's the difference between being invested and being committed? And the father says, well, son, you remember that bacon and eggs we had for breakfast? Kid says, yeah, the chicken was invested into the breakfast. The pig was committed. Right? You want people committed. So there's things you can do. Discount rents paid in advance, have people pay, 6 months, a year in advance. This is something we do a lot overseas, and it really helps in qualifying your tenants. Have them pay a premium for that option. This is ways to get people more invested, more committed. Furniture cost. Allow them to, to split that cost with them. Or if you talk to a furniture place where they have no payments for 3 months or 90 days, you can talk to them and get a little bit of a discount and charge, you do a little bit of arbitrage there. But you can also have the tenants pay for that as well, pay for the furniture cost, and have, having the furniture that stays with the property that as long as they buy it. You agree to pay for half of it or whatever as long as they commit. If they don't, then you get to keep the furniture. The point here is whenever you're charging more money, these are a few ways of getting more money. The more money, the more commitment, the better off the process is for everybody. Okay, policing steps. Those were the 7 prevention and now policing. Here, there's 7 steps here. Here's a pop quiz. You have tenants in your property. What do you do next? Police your tenants and make it the best landlord-renter experience possible. Do nothing and passively collect your monthly rent. This is what everyone thinks, right? Run off and join the circus. Really, I hope you didn't pick B or C. So A is obviously the answer. How do we, 7 steps to creating great tenants? There's 3 ways to do this and make money. 1, you do it for yourself. 2, you can do it for someone else or help them with their tenants. 3, you can do this as a business and make money doing this with JVs, for example. More details on that in a separate class, but I will touch on it a bit below. So keep eyes on the property. I hire only the best ninja spies. There are 10 in this picture. Okay. That's good. Policing step 1. So this is after your tenants have signed. Keep eyes on the property. Keep tabs. You want to keep tabs on the property, either in person or having other people do it. You can do this through drive-bys. You can employ spies. It's amazing that more investors and landlords don't do this. You, in your rental, this is really something huge. So in the rental agreement, you can say that you need to have a molly maid or, a cleaning person come through every 2 weeks or every month, for example. and you can give them an incentive at either a discount in rent or some favorable term or maybe free furniture or some bonus to do that, right? Or you can just make it a requirement as part of the lease. And that person can be one of your people, right? You can do the same thing with landscaping, and they can kind of give you an idea of, the kind of condition of that property. You can make this a requirement. Okay, policing step 2, build solid relationships with your tenants. Make BFFs with your people. A friend will drop everything and help you move, okay? A best friend will drop everything and help you move a body. Okay, you want that second type, the person that's going to help you move a body. Policing step 2, build solid relationships with your tenants. So some basic ways to become BFFs with your tenants. Find and friend them on social media. This is kind of creepy. Don't do it in that way. Do it in a good way. Become something of a staple in their profile. Like their stuff. Make a comment, a friendly comment, just be a friend. Don't be weird. It creates friendship. It also creates leverage where they don't want to piss you off, right? Friend, follow them on job career sites like LinkedIn. Again, this doesn't need to be like, what's that movie? I don't know. There's a few movies like, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of movies like this, like one with Robert De Niro where he gets out of jail. There's another, single white female. I think that was the other one. And there's other movies where people, what about Bob? Right. So, don't be like that, obviously, but just become friends with them. Give them a gift every 90 to 120 days. This you should be doing with all your people, especially your high quality people. And yes, your tenants are your high value people. The cost of those relationships going south is terrible. So maybe it's just a card or flowers or cookies or gift certificates, baked goods, anything, furnace filters, a framed picture, handwritten thank you note. We do all of this stuff. The people, I've had a list of, when I started doing like IPO stuff, I had people with money. I had what we called our money list, our A list, people with the most money that we made the most money with and that we liked the most. And every month they'd get something from me. And it wasn't cheap at all. I was spending $8,000 a month. And I remember people thought that was crazy. Now it's several times that we spend every single month. This stuff will make you a staple in somebody's life. This will put you in what's called the A pile. Anytime you send them a text, anytime you send them an email, you immediately will not only get opened, but it'll get read immediately. They'll sit down and go through whatever you send them. And imagine if you got, for example, from me every 90 days, you got a card from me, you got gifts, you got baked goods, you got a framed picture, and that had been going on for 5, 10, 15 years. What would our relationship be like, right? You would know everything about me. So, and this is a good way to get if you want to get rich people to be calling you or eating out of the palm of your hand, this is one way to do that. Everyone falls for this stuff, and nobody does it. Ask yourself how many people are keeping in touch with you. And I mean, and not just in an electronic way, but in a real world way. It's not happening. Anytime there's a, help them celebrate an anniversary, a birthday, a childbirth, anything. Anytime someone has a wedding or somebody has, a birthday coming up, go out of your way and just pay a little bit and get a notice in the local paper and then cut it out and mail it to them. You do that kind of stuff, they'll remember that for the rest of their lives, man. That's how you really, you get. People always focus on trying to be liked and trying to be loved. Instead of doing that, like people, love people, put that into the world, put that out there in the world, spread more love, love your people. Really, we've talked about this a lot, the power of love and really what it can do. And, when you can take it and weaponize it in a good way and change lives and lift people up. And really, years later, you have no idea how dark people can get and how many places people can go where we've sent stuff, this celebrated an anniversary. We had one of our clients came back and said, after things had gone south and, his spouse, his wife had passed, there were times where it was dark and he was suicidal, and he would take that notice that we paid to get put. It was a quarter-page ad, and he would look at it. It was framed, and he just, it was a little love letter he wrote her when they first met. And we included that in the notice, and he just read it, and it got him through dark days. Imagine if I had known that when I was running the ad. I had no way of knowing that, but I know that when you spread that kind of energy, it makes a difference in the world. And you have no idea how far acts of kindness, acts of goodness, acts of love, how far they can go and the impact they can have around the world, the people that you never even meet. How many people did he show that to, by the way? And how many of all these things, how many people have seen him that we never hear about, that we don't know, but at least they have joy, they have a smile from this stuff. I could talk about this forever, but start doing this stuff. It's really, really cool. All right, so invite them to parties or host one of your own. Again, if somebody's like, my landlord threw me a birthday party, that can be creepy. Who cares? Make it a little awkward at first, because it's only awkward at first. After that, it's like, that's just how this guy is. He does stuff like that. Apartment complexes. We've done this with apartment complexes for years, and Anna started doing this, and it's a huge moneymaker too there, where you can get apartment complexes to pay you for you to set up parties at their clubhouses for their tenants, because it helps the relationship, and it also helps them make money as well. And if they set up parties at like clubs where it's like, ladies' night or singles night, or they get $5 or $10, you can get half or all that money that they pay that club as well. So you can turn these, the relationships, leverage that relationship they have with their tenants into more money. And I don't know if we're going to talk about it now, but apartment complexes usually have a shitty relationship with their tenants, and if they just improve that a little bit and they add just a little bit more cash flow, the value of that cash flow is astronomically higher than it would be if they built another building or got more tenants, and their cap rate instantly goes through the roof. You can raise the value of apartment complexes pretty dramatically. And we have a lot of examples of that. We got to keep moving. Okay. Here's the note. So these are all ways of just, getting great glue relationships. Help them with storage and or selling extra stuff that they have on eBay, Craigslist, Let Go, all that stuff. You can offer to help them in other ways. Help them get, security systems. Help them. Sometimes it's an apartment office, a school, police station, one of your rentals, or even just nearby a gas station. It's a great way to keep your community safe. Have people come by for, just ask cops to come by and just drive by. Get to know the family and friends as well, the people, the targets that you have of your tenants. Do something at least once or twice a year that helps somebody they love. So this is actually, this is one of the huge things. So if you really want to get someone talking, let's say you find out that, one of your targets, let's say it's somebody rich that you want, an investor, somebody with money, or let's say it's just one of your tenants. You find out their kid plays soccer. You could send them, a soccer ball signed by some, local soccer player or something like that. And the lengths that will go to, because what's going to happen is everyone's going to ask, where'd you get that ball? Especially the spouse, like, where'd that come from? Oh, it came from our landlord. Oh, it came from our apartment manager. How often does that happen, right? It never happens. So take your target, take somebody that they care about, that they love, and like once or twice a year, do something that just blows them away, that they can go and brag about. They're like, oh, hey, little Jimmy, look at this ball, and he freaks out. And then it's like, yeah, well, and what are they going to say? That was actually a friend of mine who's also the property manager. You don't want to say, oh, it's just a landlord. It's, it's a friend of mine who's also happens to be my landlord, right? And that's the order we go in. We don't say, oh, it's my landlord who happens to be a friend of mine. It's, unless it was the way that they met him. They met him through being a friend. You get what I'm saying? You want to be that person where it's like, I met him one way, but now he's in a different category. Get in that A pile, right? Maybe a cousin needs a good tech job reference. We've done this a lot too. If you find out that, oh, so-and-so, I saw him on your LinkedIn page, or I saw him here, you needed a good reference. So we've got a good friend of ours that does this stuff, and maybe he can help him. Or this guy over here teaches this class and specializes in, whatever, job placement for students at here. Maybe we can talk to him. Oh, you have a sibling in law school. Somebody in their family has special needs. You can help them make the property more accessible, or ask them, is it as accessible as it can be? Or do you have any ideas or any suggestions? Or send them our book. The book that Anna and I have written on working with special needs kids. Basically, we're curing many of these special needs things. These things go a long way in creating a friendship that lasts forever. You want people talking about how epically helpful you were for the rest of their lives, y'all. All right, policing step 3, get your tenants talking with a good bank. The bank was totally empty when I got there, and guess what I did? When did you go to the bank? Oh, no, I found myself alone. Okay. Step 3, get your tenants talking with a good bank. Get them in touch with people. A bank can give them what's called a preliminary, a pre-approval. They can tell them what they need to do to get approved. Credit companies work well, and credit companies can help with everything. Lenders, you can get paid for going through credit applications. You can get paid with connecting people to credit cards. You can get, there's a lot of ways to make money with that, or getting paid through people with credit repair. This is a great and easy thing to do. You should easily be getting $150, $200 when somebody signs up for credit repair through you. You do that once or twice a day. Now you're at $200, $300, $400, $500 easily a day. without ever moving a property. This is the kind of stuff. Imagine when you can go to an apartment complex. Just think about what I've said so far about solidifying the relationship with your tenants. Is any group of people doing this on earth? No, they're not. Nobody's doing this. And when you can go to an apartment complex or a property manager or a realtor or a landlord who owns several tenants and you explain, wouldn't you want this kind of relationship with your people, with your tenants, with everybody who calls? What about when you're trying to fill a property? While you're filling that property, you're making an extra $500 a day, an extra $300 a day. What would that do to your business? And what about if you and I split that money while we build a better relationship with your people? And none of them have a fan base. They don't have, think about how many apartment complexes, they should be able to have one email address, or they should be able to send out an email or a text and contact all their people because they have a great relationship with them. You live there, but none of them have this. They don't do this. So you can do something like the lender agent model, get that going too. Okay, policing step forward, get involved with the neighbors in the community. Boys in the hood. My neighbor's so bad that when I lost my keys, you know who had to let me in? My neighborhood's so bad that when I lost my keys, you know who had to let me in? Who? The burglars. Okay, there are some areas that are not ideal. But you know what? The truth is, in America and the West, there are no ghettos. There's no tough area. If you've never left, you've never seen a rough area. It's all a walk in the park. It's all a picnic. The most dangerous place you've ever been is safer than the safest place pretty much anywhere else in the world. So be thankful. And wherever you go, always take your black belt. Get involved with the neighbors of the community. You want to be a pillar in the community and neighborhood. This will serve several purposes. First, it's a great way to show you're active in the community, volunteering, helping others. You also, nobody's going to let crazy stuff happen when they know that you're involved, and you want to be someone in that neighborhood, in that community. And it might be weird to talk to your neighbors. I used to live in this one place where I didn't talk to the neighbors when I first got there because I was kind of hurt. I was stretching, getting back in shape, and it had been some time, and I realized I haven't met any of these people. And then after that, whenever I'd see them, it just got really awkward because it's weird to not meet the neighbors immediately, but it's even weirder if months have gone by. What do you say? Oh, I've been over here. And it's well, yeah, I know. Try not to make eye contact when you drive by or whatever, So don't be it might be weird in your neighborhood, but with your properties, you don't want to do that. You want to have your team, have a footprint in that neighborhood. Send a quick text or email. Hey, I've got 2 open houses. I've got 2 open houses on Sunday the 14th. Who needs help with anything? Or I've got 2 open hours on Sunday the 14th. Just start, talking to people and asking them, what's up? What's going on? How can I help? What can we do in the neighborhood? Maybe we do a canned food drive. It doesn't matter if these things are very successful or not. The fact that people feel good about it. Let's do a, donation for clothes to a women's shelter. Does anybody have clothes that they, don't need right now? Or that they're not using? We can, give them away. So that's one. Start volunteer efforts. That's one way to get involved in the community. Start tug of wars. Or 6-figure tug of wars. Okay, 6-figure tug of wars. These things are pretty badass. We've been doing this for a while. So let's say you go talk to I could do a whole class on just this. Let's say you go and talk to a fire department, a local fire department, a local police department, or the local, find your Marine recruiter and your Army recruiter, or find 2 schools that you have, 2 local schools that you have, any kind of competitive rivalry that you have, right? But make it don't make it rapists and rape victims, or black people and white people. Or don't do something crazy and stupid, a fun competition, right? Police and firemen, for example. And we set these tug of wars, which is going to be done usually at a school or some park where it's a public place, and somebody's got a tug, the tug of war laying around they can use. It's basically free to set up, but then the cops or the people involved, they're going to be the ones that go out and promote this. So they're going to go door to door in these neighborhoods, raise money. They're going to let their people know, and it's all going to be for a charity. But what happens is that you become a sponsor of that event, right? So by becoming a sponsor of that event, you get your cops handing out your flyer that says I buy homes or whatever on it as well. So this has been a tremendous lead generator, because you can get, you can flood an area, get hundreds of houses, and they have, in-depth conversations. When a cop knocks on the door and gives out basically your flyer, that's a win. And that's where they can also, it gives the information for the charity, and on the back are the sponsors. And by the way, I think the last one, I don't know if she talked about this, but Anna started selling the back, offering other people to sponsor it. And so if you're doing $1,000, $1,500 to be a sponsor of the firemen, which, by the way, who doesn't want to sponsor firemen or wounded veterans or like any of these groups, right? So they can brag about it that they're part of this, they're one of the sponsors, and you can make money on this thing before even doing any deals. I'm not even talking about the leads on this. I think the record right now is like $6,000 a week in leading up to this tug of war. You want to have about 5 to 6 weeks to promote this tug of war. This is really cool, but what it does is it makes you what this does is it makes you a staple in that market, in that community, right? So, so she's definitely past 6 figures by now. Neighborhood newsletter. This is another thing to do to keep yourself in the loop here. You can do a neighborhood newsletter, and it keeps you, you become basically a staple in that neighborhood. And in these neighborhoods where you have rentals, you have property. So it's pretty easy to position yourself as a badass in an area and to make money at the same time. Newsletters in general, you can always start. When she started doing this, and I say her because she did so much of this so quickly, but you can start doing cooking tips, upcoming parties, babysitters, but also start promoting other people, allowing people to sponsor that. When you say this is a target area, a farm, this is the, these 5 companies are trying to get to these 1,000 households, or these 500 households that this newsletter is going to, and now you allow them to sponsor, to have a full page ad. You can make money on the newsletter as well, which doesn't include the money you make from the actual leads. You actually get paid to advertise. It's the same thing with doing direct mail. It's why whenever you do mail, you want to connect with like lenders and agents and investors and property managers and contractors, other people that can benefit from the same leads, because they can pay to advertise on the back or on the side, or just to get the leads. You can say that you're going to get the leads, and anyone that you do get, like any seller that wants to refinance, you'll send them to this lender. Any buyers that you get from this house, you'll send to this lender, and they can pay for the mailing, and you basically get your lead generation not only for free, but you can eventually make money with your leads, just like with making money doing these tug of wars now. We haven't made 6 figures before the tug of war, I don't think she has yet, but maybe she has. I mean, eventually that'll happen where you make 6 figures doing the tug of war, where doing the thing itself becomes profitable. That's exactly how screening tenants has become. And eventually we'll have a whole class on how to make 6 figures just doing the tug of wars, on top of the money that you make from the actual leads you generate from the houses, right? And on top of the money that you make from the actual, or on top of the money that the charity makes, right? So this is just badass stuff, man. Making 6 figures, doing these tug of wars, helping charities, and helping these local businesses as well. Really cool stuff. And fucking nobody is doing this, by the way. So this is like, just, people say it's like, oh, there's nothing new under the sun. No human being on earth is doing this. We're in, I don't know how many markets across the world. Nobody is doing this kind of stuff. And you can easily mop up, and just clean house and doing this stuff. So it's pretty cool. Give Good Guy Tenant Awards. You'll grow on people. You are so playful and humorous. Such a fun guy to be around. Why did you spell it like that? Oh, wait, are you about to? I have so much room in my heart for you. This is a good one. Okay, this might be my favorite one. I think I'm saying that about everyone. All right, give Good Guy Tenant Awards. Give your tenants a name, a form of identity, a nickname that puts them on your team. This is something you should be doing in general, right? Give people a name like Azamologist, Big Reia. Give people a name that, and then an identity like a logo, like the bat signal. And then give a good guy tenant, good guy, good gal award system. People love being recognized by the right people. Be one of those right people. All this is stuff to build a tight relationship with people, to be in that A list, that A pile among their relationships. It could be just your tenant's favorite candy bar, or a $5 trophy with a note attached saying good guy tenant award. It could be something really, it's not about the expense, but it's the fact that they're getting some positive affirmation. Snap a picture with them or a little video, share with them online with their permission, obviously, and publicly recognize them. What do they get awards for? For doing good stuff. This is how a team acts, right? When you're on a team and you win and you have wins, you get an award. Create an identity and let people list what it means to be a part of the team. We volunteer, we help people, we smile, we brighten days. We are that rising tide that's going to raise the ships. We understand the purpose of life here is to help people and to produce a joy and love in the world. But with a tangible award like an actual trophy, it can become a game too, like a traveling tenant trophy. Your tenants can actually look forward to each month to seeing who gets it. they've been doing some different tests with that. Take it further, make a donation in their name and get on Twitter or something and say, oh, because he's a good guy tenant, we're going to donate, X amount of dog food to this charity in your tenant's name or in your client's name. This works for anybody, not just your tenants. But this is stuff we've been doing with tenants for a while, especially in an apartment complex where they give out this good guy or good gal tenant award. One of the things that we've done before is we had a bunny, and whoever got it got to keep the bunny. And it was a golden little bunny. It wasn't a real bunny, but we've done this sometimes with real animals. Although that gets kind of weird because not everybody wants an animal around. But at least they can they can get this. They call it the Golden Bunny Award, and everyone would be like, whenever somebody got it, they'd put it on Twitter. They'd send out an email. Oh, he's got the Golden Bunny, and then everyone donate money to this local charity. The charity they pick. And so let's say you have a charity that in your let's say you're just a regular tenant, right? You're a tenant of ours and you have a charity, but you haven't given them that much money this year. And then all of a sudden you do something really nice. Like you help somebody, this old lady was trying to move her trash and you helped her out. And we give you a good guy tenant award. And then you get the Golden Bunny for the month. And we send out an alert, a little text to everyone saying, oh, so-and-so got the good guy tenant award. Here's his charity. So this month, if you have a few bucks, if you could donate it. All of a sudden your charity now, that whole month, they're getting these hits from all these strangers who they have no idea, they've never met before, and they're all doing it in your name. How would you feel about that apartment complex? How would you feel about that landlord? How would you feel? You get what I'm saying? It doesn't cost anything to do except for the cost of the Golden Bunny, right? Or the stuffed animal bunny. I mean, you get what I'm saying? It's this kind of stuff that really builds a solid relationship, not just with your tenants, but with everybody. So think of karma a lot. What goes around comes around. Step 6, set up ACH payments and credit card payments. Priceless. How do you stop a bull from charging? Is that really a problem? I mean, how often do you ever... Oh, wait a second. You take away his credit card. Okay. See, this guy always takes off. He always bounces because he's like Randall. At least he's not violent like Randall is with me with those. Okay. Policing step 6. Set up ACH payments and credit card payments. ACH means you take money directly from the credit cards, their bank accounts. It's cheaper. It's harder to do a chargeback. You should all be doing this. Paying rent with credit cards. Here's a few places. Okay, so I'm glad we're going to talk about this. Venmo, RadPad, Rentmoola, Plastic, Urban R. I think this is the cheapest service. Okay, so this is 1.5%. For anybody that's bothered with the 2 to 3% that you're going to pay, which is why landlords don't do it. Look, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be paying the 2 to 3%. And plus, somebody can come back and do a chargeback, or they can create problems for you. So I get why landlords don't take credit cards. Here's the thing. These are third-party companies. They will cut you the check. You get what I'm saying? They'll cut you a check, you as the landlord, and then they'll charge the tenant's credit card. You get what I'm saying? And there's going to be some hoops that the tenant's going to have to jump through, and you want to help them do that. Help them set up an account at one of these places, or all these places. Well, not all of them, but at least one of them. Now, what about paying this 1.5% thing, right? Here's how you deal with that. Just about any credit card. I have one right here. Okay, so they have a $500 cash back if you spend $3,000 in the first 3 billing cycles, 90 days, okay? This is an HSBC credit card if you spend $3,000. So that's, if your rent's $1,000 a month, you're going to hit that in the first 90 days. You're going to hit, and you get $500, right? Sometimes it'll be $300, sometimes it'll be $400, $250, or whatever that is. It's more than going to cover this 1.5%. You get what I'm saying? So they can actually make money doing that. It also helps build their credit, and it also is going to raise their credit limit generally if they're taking their money, using their credit card, and then paying their credit card off. And you want to pay their credit card off immediately. Don't let them carry a balance. Explain that they really need to pay that credit card off quickly. You can put in your lease that they should send you a copy of the balance showing that they paid it off, just because you really are trying to help them. That's a dangerous thing, by the way, because that's what the credit cards are counting on. And they do have behaviors, psychologists, and people that are really nuts. They want that tenant to think, you know what? Yeah, I paid $1,500 in rent, but it's on a credit card. It's already paid, and I could really use that new, home theater system, or I could really use that new car or whatever. And then they just start, using their cash for stuff they want to buy, and they keep using the credit cards. That's no bueno. You don't want to go down that path because it's going to add up real quick and they're going to end up in a lot of trouble. So only do this with people. Make sure that they know that they're paying it off every month, so they're not going to pay any interest on it. And by the way, with every credit card that we've ever had, I've worked with, I don't know how many that I personally have when we've done a lot of credit stuff. And at least I've got, I don't know how many credit cards I've got. I was doing this with Anna, and very easy to get, 20, 30 credit cards and have although they'll say they'll never raise your balance over 50,000, everyone on our team has got over 100, 200,000. I don't know exactly what mine is. It's like 300,000 or something in available credit on credit cards. So don't believe what anybody, it'll never be more than 50,000. That's not true. You talk to them, you build a relationship with them. It's not hard to do. And what happens when you have that much credit is your credit just goes up every month because you're not using it and your credit utility is low. And sometimes they'll say they're going to close a credit card, although that almost never happens, because what they want is people using their credit card and paying it off. But also what they want is to show how responsible they are. They have all these responsible people who don't use their credit cards at all. So you are helping to fulfill that quota as well. But what happens is whenever, let's say you do charge, they have a grace period. When the first time you use a card, you have like a 45 or 60 day grace period before that, like when you use the card versus when it actually hits their statement and settlement dates. We talk about this more in the credit card class, but those are dates that you really want to know with your credit card, whatever credit card you're using, because that's how you can avoid paying interest. And when you want to know what date it is that they check, do they check one date to see what the balance is, or do they look at the average balance over the 30 days? Because that depends. When should you make your payment, and when should you charge? When should you use that card? Because you can use it on just the right day in certain situations and pay nothing. But the grace period is the important part, because you may have 45, 60 days. We've been doing this challenge lately where we've been buying houses on credit cards and then paying off the house before the first payment was due on the credit card, just going super fast and trying to pay off the credit card, sell the house before the first payment's due. Even on rehab loans, like even on fix and flips. So you got to be fast. You got to have the team and the buyers ready to go. But the way to do that, and to do it again and again, is when you use your credit card, because they're gonna, if you use one of these services, they're gonna say to you that you get like this grace period where you have, like, for the first time you use a card, you have like 45, 60 days, right? But then after that period, you don't ever get that grace period again. But if you use this card for, let's say, $1,500, and then you pay off that $1,500 where it's back to a zero balance, and you paid no interest or anything, call your card back up. This happens almost every time, and tell them you want your grace period reinstated, because this is what we're doing when we fixed and flipped those houses. We kept getting the grace period reinstated. People were like, how do you keep getting in this 45, 60 day window? It's because we kept calling them back and saying, since we paid it all off, we want it reinstated. And it works every time. If they have an issue with that, use another card. Don't go with them. Okay. Using a credit card to pay your rent can be a backup plan. Yeah, this is a good thing too. Just in general, just to have this as a backup, right? And the same thing works with your mortgage payment. They'll make payments to your bank as well. So you should all do this just as the average person is so dangerously close. I hate this, man. If you're in this situation, my love, I have love and compassion. And man, I have so much. You should not be in a situation, man. Every one of you should never worry about money again. This is America, man. This is a fucking amusement park. It's so easy to get this stuff in place, right? So if you're having money issues, man, we got to fix that. You got to get your head out of your ass, and you got to look at it. It's like you're just not listening to me, man. I mean, it's not that difficult. Okay, that being said, sometimes, whatever situation you've got going on, get this set up just in general so you have a backup plan, if the shit hits the fan. When I got my house rated right, when I went back, I had nothing. I had no money at all. Everything was frozen. This would have been great to have in place. So you can set this up for yourself just so you've got a backup plan. Okay, policing step 7, referrals. Use your fan base to screen your fan base. The best way to screen your fan base is to have your fan base do it for you. I was always a big heavy metal fan. Building your VIP client list is a lot like renewable energy, How so? That doesn't even make sense. Oh, man, unless you need to build some really big fans. Okay, the guy bounced again. Look at him. We need to have names for these guys. Okay, policing step 7, referrals. Use your fan base to screen your fan base. You've seen somebody on Facebook ask for suggestions for like a dentist, a soccer coach, a soccer coach, violin lessons, etc. Then you've seen some people get nearly no replies, but a few people get great, detailed, and numerous replies. Those people are interacting with their friends, or that engagement wouldn't be there, or it wouldn't last. That's true. So people who engage get engagement. You want to do the same thing. Get suggestions on X. The right endorsement changes everything. So get your people to start screening people for you. So ask your people, imagine if you built a relationship like this with your landlords, with your realtors, with your clients, with your buyers, with your sellers. They're going to tell everybody they know about you, right? One of the number one car salesman ever used to be Joe Girard, but he got beat by Ali Reza. And one of our clients, Dan the man, works is one of his top salespeople. And one of the policies we put in place that got them there was they would call up every single client they had. They would spend more of their time doing this. So let's say you bought a car from them, and if you're familiar with the GXM, the whole idea behind the GXM is, offer to give something. If you want something, offer to give it, even if you don't have it, and you'll get more of that thing than you would have if you had asked for it. And this is just like an amazing way to live your life. Just keep giving, keep giving. Whatever you want, give. You want love, then give love. You want to be liked, like people. You want money, start giving away money, or at least offering to give that money away. And do this again and again, and just watch your life improve in many ways. But what they would do is they want referrals, right? So how many times you go to a car dealer, they sit you down, they're like, hey, why don't you make a list of all the people that would want to buy a car in the next, year or so, and then I'll fucking haggle them and nag them and just nag the shit out of them, and that never works, right? And it's kind of awkward. It's like if somebody called you up and they're like, would you give if somebody called you up and said, oh, the guy who cuts your hair, twice a year or whatever, he just bought a car from me and he thought you might be in the market for a car. That's just like that does not lead to a productive purchase of a car, right? What happens is that you're looking for a car and then, somebody's in love with their dealership, because we do the same thing, the same kind of relationship-based stuff, all the stuff that we're talking about with multiple companies. And just imagine if you had a car dealer. Don't you want me and my team doing this stuff with your people? Just this kind of relationship that you have with your people? Of course you do, right? So one of the things we did that he put in place and he got going to get this relationship going with to get these people, these referrals, is whenever they had a client, they would call up their clients and say, hey, let's say you're talking the type of people that refer you are people who also need referrals. Usually they're in business or something like that, or even if they're not, they're just maybe they work in an accounting firm and they're not in business for themselves, but they could still use referrals. So we had a list of people of referrals. So let's say you came in, I'm a car salesman, you came in and bought from me. I'd have a list I'd say, oh, you're an accountant, or you're what are you, a barber or whatever. Oh, let me add you to my list of recommended people in town here. And I have this big yearbook, this big Rolodex. And anytime somebody would come in, any one of my clients, I'd give them this Rolodex, right? So here's some of my top people that I recommend for your financial planning or computer repair or whatever, right? And so what would happen is you'd call up your best people, once a week, once a month, and say, hey, how's it going? Oz here, you bought your Benz or you bought your car from me. We'd pick the certain kinds of cars that we want more people to buy, right? So call people that like a $50,000 car or above and say, hey, it's Oz here. If you remember, you bought at first, if you remember. Later on, they definitely remember. Because you're going to call them every fucking month, constantly, right? So you're going to be in touch with these people. What's going to happen is so you bought the car from me. I call you up and I say, hey, how's it going? Oz here. No need to call me back unless there's something I can do for you. I just want to let you know that, there's somebody in here earlier that was, asking. I gave out the Rolodex and it looks like they might need an accountant or they might need a blank. And a few other people have been in that category too. So I just want to know, is there anything else I can be doing to send you referrals? Hopefully the referrals you're getting from me you're happy with, or, you're tracking, or you're getting some feedback. But I just want to know if there's any other way I can send you referrals. Again, no need to call me back unless there's something I can do for you. Thanks. And that's the voicemail you get. Imagine if you got that voicemail every single month. What happens when you're out and about at the mall, or you're out at a soccer game and someone's like, yeah, I'm thinking about buying a car. You're like, oh, listen. You got to call this guy who tries to send me business. You get what I'm saying? We never ask for referrals. And it's one of the top ways that that whole team has become the number one salespeople ever. They broke every world record there's ever been with selling cars. And they're getting more referrals than anybody else has ever gotten. And I had to get permission to share that secret with you. But this is how they're doing this, a way we invented to get referrals that nobody in the world is doing right now. We just used that with one of the in Karachi in Pakistan, and they've become the single largest motorcycle dealership ever. And this is exactly the policy they used. Instead of going out screening people, they found better use of their current clients. The acres of diamonds in their backyard, right? Get better at digging. Okay. So use your fan base to screen your fan base. I don't even remember what we're talking about. Avoid ship all tenants with magic steps of prevention, policing. Policing, it should be, policizing. So here we go again, one more time. Here's the prevention and policizing. Let's go through the 7 steps of prevention. Run your tenant screening well. Get recommendations, letter references, have a 24/7 number to contact, carry and require insurance, hold max security deposits, record the pre-signed walkthrough, video and audio, or video and pictures. 7, use money as a qualifier. 7 steps to avoid bad tenants. Or to turn the shitty ones into great ones. Here's the policing after you're working with them. Keep eyes on the property. Build solid relationships. Get them credit and finance help, right? We talked about that. Get involved in the community. Give good guy rewards. Set up ACH, credit card options. Referrals, have your fan base. Screen your fan base. Some other places, rental history, avoid. Okay, you can do this yourself. You can do JVs. Okay, I knew I recognized that email. Okay, so this is the email I wrote. In July 1518, in a small town in France. This is in an email. Some of you may have gotten this. In July 1518, in a small town in France, a woman started dancing. At first, she got applause, smiles, and laughter. That stopped when she kept dancing 24 hours a day for several days straight. This spread to a few others, then dozens, then hundreds of people as a dancing plague broke out. Hundreds of citizens were dancing nonstop, 24 hours a day with no breaks. They felt like they had no control over it, and they could not stop. Eventually, people began to suffer fatigue, strokes, heart attacks, and even death. At the peak, 15 people a day were dying from dancing, yet the dancers kept dancing. The government stepped in. The local authorities decided to build a big stage and hire musicians so that dancers would get it all out of their system. But that only made things worse. More dancers joined and the death toll grew. There was no end in sight. Then, one day, for no reason, it all stopped. Everybody stopped dancing and went back to their normal lives as if nothing happened. To this day, nobody knows why it happened. The cause and cure of this dancing plague are unknown to us. I would imagine that as you picture people dancing uncontrollably for no reason without music to their deaths, you probably think the same thing most of us do. That would never happen to me. Seeing problems in the thinking, attitudes, behavior, actions, and reactions of others is easy. And honestly, it can be a lot of fun too. However, there is a danger in the way we overlook our own flawed thinking. It creates blind spots. We start out in business or in real estate with a definite idea of what we want to build and a definite idea of what we don't want. We start with the best intentions and then we go on our way. Then stuff happens. A lot of stuff. The result is what I see every day with real estate investors. They found themselves in situations they never thought they would be in. They aren't growing their business. Instead, they're putting out fires all day. If I told you 5 years ago that your real estate business would be where it is today, how would you have felt? Not me. I won't let that happen to me, Azam. That's how most people would react. The further we look ahead, the more optimistic we feel about what our future self will do. That person will lose weight, be a better spouse, wake up earlier, eat less junk food, and build a better business. But the future is built each day. Our dreams have rent that is due daily. Your future is an accumulation of whatever you did today, not what you wanted to get done today, but what you actually did today. Are you making it happen, or are you slowly dancing yourself to death? Most investors and folks in real estate are not happy with the growth they are seeing in their business. They're spinning their wheels with no end in sight. Every day they get fed up, and it feels like they're boxing an octopus. That's a good one. Boxing an octopus. Good image. Is that me complimenting myself? Really? What the fuck? They're slowly dancing themselves to death with nonsense and busy work. Every now and then they have a solution, and just like the government setting up stages and musicians, they only make the dancing worse. Eventually, you've been dancing for so long you don't even know if you can stop or what will happen if you do. I can make the dancing stop if you let me. End of Azam's email. Okay. Man, I don't even know what the thing was. I want to go back and see what I said. This is a good email, actually. What was the point of this? Okay, then he wanted to explain how this is only dancing mania. There have been several others in it. Yeah, there have been. There's a laughing epidemic in Africa. Over 1,000 people laughed for a year straight. They felt like they couldn't stop. When people think of Kazakhstan, they think of Borat or Gennady, but there's Gennady Golovkin. He's one of our favorite boxers. He's pretty good. Really good. Legendary, but epic. Since 2003, people of all ages have randomly fallen asleep for days and weeks at a time. Over 150 people have died. This is really crazy shit. Sleepy Hollow disease. You can check this documentary out. There's all kinds of weird stuff I mentioned in the rest of this email. And then, yes, God bless all the people that have died or suffering from these things. This is crazy stuff. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, people get stricken with this kind of stuff. God bless you all. Our hearts are with you. Be grateful, as always. Okay. So she used this and in the email and basically said that use the same email, but then said, "Do you want a relationship like this with your tenants?" And then that's how she was able to get stuff cooking and making money here. So working with apartment complexes and getting transactions going and other stuff here. Okay, so we'll talk about this here. This is in part what I did. Okay, so basically made some YouTube videos. She talked about this during the 90-day challenge. She made, basically there's 5 videos that are made on credit repair that talk about why you need to get credit repair. Every time a tenant comes in, somebody calls an apartment complex, whether the apartment is filled or they have a vacancy or not, they let them know, hey, here's some videos you can watch, and because they're getting like 100 to 150 tenant leads a week. Well, here's some videos you can watch on cleaning your credit in the meantime. And so first she took a sample of 20, 30 of those people and put them on that drip campaign, saying basically when you talk to an apartment complex, hey, from now on, why don't we, whenever somebody calls or comes in, we'll also tell them that we're going to send them an email about how, the local area or how to get their, how to help with their credit. These are, 5 helpful classes we have on, helping clean up your credit, helping save money, odd jobs you can do, 25 side hustles or quick ways to make some extra money on the side businesses, and, how to get side jobs and, little, things you can do on the side for money, odd jobs. That was, that was a tenant. So the 100 to 150 tenants, they took a small sample of 20 tenants and said, why don't we talk to these 20 tenants and send them this drip campaign? They got these, the campaign. This is a sequential. They get 1 email a day or 1 video a day or 1 video every other day. And then what happens is it also promotes, hey, if you want to get your credit repaired, you can do it yourself, or you can work with this company that does these things that I talked about in this video for you. And then she got an affiliate commission. So she was at $600 a week, basically, and that's splitting it with the apartment complex. So the apartment complex is getting these leads anyway, right? They're doing nothing with them. They send them over they basically use their email, and then this drip campaign is set up. They get these videos automatically, and then you just get commission checks every week. And then the relationship starts. You talk, right now it's the property management company people that are doing this. So they're starting to talk to these people, build a better relationship with these tenants who, by the way, they were thrown away previously. They weren't doing anything with them. I don't think they had any. This is when they were full. So they were just throwing away these leads and not doing anything with them. And now they're adding money. And I think, so what she used, that letter that I just mentioned, that's what she sent to other property managers saying, don't dance yourself to death and do the same thing every day. But right now I'm going to take retainers, which is what I recommend all of you do. Once you get one deal like this going, you use that as an example. Go to other apartment complexes, other businesses, and work out a deal with them where you get paid up front and then every month, a guaranteed minimum, which in her case was $1,500 a month. And then she raised it. So the second were $2,500 a month, plus another investor who just does single-family residential wants to do $2,500 but can't right now. So I let him make payments. That is $750 a month. Altogether, the monthly base pay is $7,100 a month. So this is how much she's getting paid to work with people's tenants, right? This is between an apartment complex and what else did she write? One is I think two apartment complexes, and then one investor who does single family residential. Because if you're an investor and I say, look, I've got this process where not only do I get a good relationship with people, but I also help them get credit repair, and I could split the money I make with you. You're not doing anything with those leads right now anyway, right? And you're not handling them very well. You're not building a good relationship with them. What if I say, what? On top of that, we'll set up a party for all your people, a landlord or a tenant appreciation party, stuff like that people don't want to deal with. So the exact process to get it done: first, do a free GXM. Just do it for free. Just take a sample leads, like 20 or 30 leads, see how much money you make, and just do that for free, just a GXM. Second, once you're building a good relationship, then find a good JV partner. Third, test a small group of their people, see how well you convert. Fourth, find out the best transaction, introduce clients, and find out what converts best. Fifth, this is the fun part. Now you have your numbers, get offers and residuals. Here's another way to remember this. You can download all these infographics. The DNA of a good tenant JV, and 5 easy steps. Setting up a single JV can easily make you 6 figures a year. JV is the single biggest secret in real estate investing. Nobody does them. Just work with local companies. Here's the basic 5 steps that you can help to put these tenant JVs in place the right way. If you do this correctly, you'll be able to set it and forget it and have them produce for years. Practice at first GXM. So talk to an apartment complex or anybody. Just practice making friends, having the conversation. And then just take the leads that they're throwing away right now and see what you can do with them and how much money you can make them with those leads. It doesn't have to be credit repair either. There's several other examples. I don't know if she's going to talk about it later, but we'll see. Find a good provider. You want to have a JV partner that understands what they're missing out on, and they have consumers that you can improve relations with. 3, do a simple test. So once you first do it for free, then find someone who's a good match. Do a test. You know what? You've got 100 leads a week. Why don't we just take 20? See what happens. Get a transaction profile. Find out what the best transaction is with those people. Finalize monthly and split. Then this is where you're going to find out how much money you're going to make every month, how much you're going to make up front, and what's going to be the split. Is it going to be a 50-50 or whatever? So at first, for a lot of people that have jobs, man, it's easy to make that $1,500 a month or $2,500 a month or $35, $45, $6,000 a month. In her case, this is within less than a month. I think she was at $7,100 a month, and it's more than doubled since then. But $7,100 a month, this is what you're getting just for, putting one of these, helping people work with their tenants better. Okay. So most people get tenant leads this is the tenant JV summary. They're throwing away all but the one tenant who moves in. Since their marketing continues year-round, especially with apartment complexes, they're always getting good leads and throwing them away. First, establish the process of building solid relationships with these folks. Then introduce a new series of transactions. Once you do that, you'll easily be able to do profitable JVs with apartments, property managers, realtors, investors, or anybody who markets for tenants or tenant buyers. You'll be able to create more cash flow than if you own the properties by leveraging the same tenants with different and better transactions. She gave away too much here because that's something that that's like a big secret here. Because all you're doing when you have an apartment complex is you're leveraging a transaction with the tenant, right? That's all you're doing. But if you can leverage different and better transactions, you can put that lead, that tenant, to better use and make more money with them than you would if you had an apartment complex. Okay, now I have a bit of an update. Okay, so this is more recent. How to JV with an apartment complex and make $10,000 a month. See, okay, that's what we talked about earlier. In order to do this correctly, I had to do some practice, but you really need to get good at the bonding part. The first call is you guys got to read this because I'm just skimming it. But if you get the hook and bond part right, everything else is easy. The hook and bond is key. You have to hook you have to have a hook that they'll remember. We've talked about a hook. It's the most important part of anything, right? If I tell you, Die Hard on a bus, what do you think of? Speed, right? That's the kind of hook you need to have. This is how movies are promoted, and how they make movies. How so many things happen because of a hook, because somebody has. I'm just reading a book right now about Eisner and Katzenberg. And Katzenberg was 29 years old, and they had wanted to, this group of animators at Disney had this crazy, wacky idea. They've had it for years and years and years. They tried to get it done. He kept saying, "This is so crazy. We don't do that. At Disney, we don't do stuff like this." And finally, one day, Eisner called him up and said, "Listen, I need some, we need to match." I think it was Aladdin had come out. He said, "We need to do something like that. We need to do something big, something, a big hit." And he's like, "What do you have?" He's like, "I don't have anything." And he's like, "Well, who'd you just talk to that you kicked out of your office?" He's like, "Well, those guys are nuts. Those guys are crazy." Eisner's like, Michael Eisner, the head of Disney, said, "Send him in." So here these animators go. They've never got any good news. They go and talk to Eisner. They're telling him about this idea. And Eisner's like, "Listen, this is just too crazy. We don't do this. We don't do new stuff. Disney only does old stuff. We only redo stuff that already has an existing audience, an existing fan base. What you're talking about is a totally new movie." It was, what was the quote? It was like a multi-generational story told through the perspective of characters that were all imagined from scratch, set in an exotic location that's never worked, and totally unrelatable. There's nothing, he's like, "I just can't do this." And he tells them, he basically kicks them out of the office. They're leaving. He says, the last thing he says to him is like, "Can you give me anything, just something like, I don't have any frame of reference for it." And they're just like, they explained it again. It's going to be musical numbers. It's going to be all original score. He's like, "Look, this is all like, we don't do this." So he kicked them out. They're leaving. All of a sudden, one of the guys has this eureka moment on the way down. He goes back up in the elevator. He walks in and he just says that he says, "Listen, Eisner, here's what it is. It's Hamlet with lions. Hamlet with lions, the Lion King." And now it's, the multi-billion-dollar movie of the year. It's won like Oscars and Emmys, and it's like the #1 Broadway show ever, all that stuff. But all that got done with that hook. It's Hamlet with lions. Hamlet with lions in Africa, but if you think about that, it has not, it doesn't, on the surface, it should never work, right? But Eisner, everybody needs a hook. They need something to relate to. One hook can change an entire industry, change an entire world. It changes everything. Why is it, if you look at your time, why is it that your time is set to GMT, Greenwich Mean Time? It's because when, I think it was like 1500s or so, who was it, Paul, or I don't know who it was, the king was basically had this, they set up this observatory, and they're like, they called it the center of all space and time. And that hook, the center of all space and time, that, the Greenwich or the Greenwich Observatory, that is still used today. That is the GMT, that is the zero line for, there's 24 time zones around the world. The zero line is right there at Greenwich. That's where your time, if you go to the bottom right of your computer, you click it, it's going to say GMT plus or minus 5 hours or 7 hours or whatever, based on that zero time. Other people, there were other observatories as well, but nobody was, that's like such a British thing to say, right? The center of all space and time. It's like, we have clocks, so we have clocks. We have really big clocks, so we have really big, we are the bloody center of all space and time. Like, that's exactly what, only such a British thing to say. But that is, it worked. That, that hook, it just stays in your mind. We're the center of all measurements of everything, space and time, right? And to this day, you can literally, that I use that as an example because it's like one good hook can literally make you the center of the world, right? It can make people think, oh, you think the world revolves around you? Yes, in this case, it literally does. They are the zero line. Okay, anyway, the hook is really important. Talk more about that than I thought I would right now. And then the bond. The bond is your compliance curve. This is how the relationship you build with people. You guys got to read this stuff. It's really cool stuff. Okay, yeah, this is, all right, so, wow, so for the hook or the giveaway, she called local businesses, restaurants, movie theaters. We've done this a lot. You guys should do this because you can get local companies to give away free meals, free VIP movie passes. Every theater will do this just about, especially for matinee, meaning not on the weekend. They'll give out these free movie passes, and you can include these in a package of coupon, like a coupon book. So let's say somebody calls your apartment complex or your real estate investor or your property manager, and that property is taken. Well, they can say, hey, if you want, we've got this coupon book here, and you can get, there's 3 free meals. If you're new to the area, it's a free tour. And also you've got, 4 free movie tickets. And then they can come in and get the coupon book, or you can email it to them, right? And we're also going to email you these classes on credit or whatever, right? So somebody better on the phone will call them back for the bonding part. This is why you want to have an immediate phone call with people. The better you can get face-to-face with people, the better. That's the best type, belly to belly. Aside from that, a Skype conversation, so it's video, is best. Aside from that, a phone call. And if you can do that subtractively, even better. So if you make a video, people feel like they're sitting in front of you. So that's helpful as well. Like right now, for example, if you hear me, it's one thing. If you're seeing me, if you're sitting right next to me face to face, that's the best part. But this is like an hour and a half, right? So you really feel like there's so many things about me, like so many, like you know me, you feel like you know me a little bit, you know what I mean? That's the kind of relationship you want to, your personality, your willingness, your desire, what you really want, the level of care that you have for people comes across. So start caring for people, and every interaction you have, and every interaction, your team will sense that, and they'll have that communication with people as well, and you'll be able to build long, deep relationships. So even an unskilled property manager can use this to get their emails, this coupon book. It's a great tool to use. It's also a great thing to say for open houses, for sellers to say. If you're talking to a seller, we have a lot of realtors we work with. This is a huge secret we license out to realtors, where we say, you can start saying to your sellers, every time somebody calls, just for calling, they're going to get, free tickets to a movie. So it's like, come look at my house, my open house Sunday, you're going to get free movie tickets, and they get this coupon book. And they get it in email, so you build your email list of all the nosy neighbors as well. And you build your fan base. And then somebody, as soon as possible, the whole point of as soon as you introduce yourself, as a stranger comes into your world, remember our 5 crowds, the number one cost you're going to have, your business is going to have, is turning someone from a stranger to not a stranger. So as soon as possible, have this bonding, the conversation, a deep, good conversation where you get to their whys. Have that conversation with them. If you can, in person, great. Over Skype or FaceTime, that's good. Somebody on your team, first you do it, get good at it, then have someone on your team do it. If that's not available, then just have a phone call. and get that conversation going. In this conversation, find out their wants, their needs, their resources. Then we help them get what they want. Sometimes that means a loan. Sometimes that means a house. The lender agent. Right now, she's at 35 leads equals 10 grand a month. And you can do a lot better than that. This is like right when they're starting. That means about one good qualified consumer, and we should be able to net about 10 grand a month. This is encouraging because some of the good property managers of complexes can get a dozen or more calls, emails a day. Right? So if 35 leads equals 10 grand a month, what happens when you're getting 70, 120, 150, right? Now you can quickly go from 10 grand to 20, 30 grand a month. These aren't all going to be good leads or consumers, but as long as I have a good process in place, I don't have to worry about good people because I can create them. Right? That's exactly right. This explains the process you can go through. So here's how to make 10 grand a month. First, they get new calls. Somebody's getting calls. They have to be getting calls from tenants every week. And they get new calls, emails weekly, and they have current tenants. Instead of throwing them away, they offer a coupon pack via email or in person. So you're going to get that coupon pack together for them with the free move, like the 5, 10, 15, or 20 local companies, like Valpack basically, but it's going to be given away for free. My team loves on them. So as soon as these people call this place, this property manager is going to start mentioning, oh, we don't have that, but we also, are you new in town, or are you, a tenant? We have this coupon pack. As soon as we have an opening, we'll let you know. In the meantime, we've got this coupon pack, and you can get free movie tickets and all that stuff. Now they get their phone number, email. Now, your team is going to call them up. You're going to call them up, find out more about what they want, where they want to live, what do they want to do? Are they with the family? Are they living at a hotel? Get a good conversation going. This is key to everything, because the entire point of having a conversation with somebody up front, aside from helping them and loving on them and building a good relationship, is that you want to be in that A pile. Every time they hear from you for the rest of their lives, they're always going to open that email. They're always, because you're so helpful, you're so over the top, and so you just love on them, right? Have a great relationship. Everybody fucks this up. Just love your people. Just start going into the next 3-5 conversations you have. Love your people. Find something about them to love with them, right? Find a reason why should they be more optimistic than they were before you ever talked to them about their lives, about their capabilities, about their potential. Just start doing that with your people and see their difference in your interactions. Now, why you're doing this, but aside from the obvious, helping people, is that now they're going to get emails. They're going to get emails from us and texts from us. That's an automated sequence, right? And you want them to open up everything they ever get from you and your team. They're going to get emails and texts for loan applications, credit repair, getting a lender agent model going. This will be seen as spam if you don't do step 2 right. They're going to delete it or not read it if you don't do step 2 right. If you fuck this up, which most people will, then it's just going to be stuff that's just going to be blah, 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 blah. How many emails do you read, right? And what we look at, eye scanning studies have seen, we don't look at the subject line anymore. We look at the from. There's people that no matter how good a subject line is, unless it's from the right person, well, it has to be really good subject line for you to open it no matter what, right? But from the right person, the subject line doesn't matter. There's people who no matter what they send, you will open their email. And that's what step 2 does. The only reason you're like that is either you're related to them or you had something here where there was some deep conversation, you had some emotion assigned to that contact. In order to produce $10,000 in net, we need 30 to 45 leads. So this 10 grand is going to be between loans, between credit repair or whatever, but it's about 35 to 40 leads. I try to get partners with at least 50 to 100 leads a week or good current tenants that they can send. So if they're having if you need 35 to 40 to do 10 grand a month, what happens when they've got 50 a week? You see what I'm saying? Pay the apartment or partner and my 2 phone people. So there's 2 people that are doing this part, the phone part. She's paying them. Look for improvements and test next time. I'm new at this, but so far that's how it's working with me. Rinse and repeat. So that's a process I've been going through. Okay, so here's free legal paperwork. Here's and stuff you can download. Here's the 14 ways. Here's the DNA of a good JV. Here's a diagram that this diagram you can download here. Here's a pre-lease inspection. Here's the ACH for the credit card authorization. Here's a standard tenant application form. Here's our comic. Okay, so that's good on. What's our Reia trivia? What animal has the highest blood pressure in the world? The giraffe. Why? They have to pump blood up their 7-foot long, 500-pound necks and down their 6 feet. Oh, that's true because it's in the middle. So they have to go all the way up, all the way down. That's interesting. The giraffe. Interesting. Okay. All right, guys. This has been long. This is 90 minutes. All right, you guys. We love you guys. If there's any questions you have, anything we haven't covered, please let us know, and we'll make sure you guys are taken care of. Make sure you download this stuff and let us know. Send a video. Send some love to these guys putting this stuff together. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. I love you guys. All right. We'll talk soon.